I was cited by the Parents Television Council for making like 7 references to my genitalia. Okay. So, and this is what went down. So I'd been in some matches in Japan that involved explosives. Okay. I know it sounds silly, but you'll do incredible things when you have children and a mortgage. So I'm talking to Shane McMahon as the commissioner, and he's afraid to take on The Undertaker. The Undertaker is a legendary mythological character in WWE lore. And I put my arm around him and I said, Shane, and I want you to count the references. I said, did you know that when I was in Japan, I lost both my guys? 1 reference. He said, both of them? 2 references. I said, both of them. And then I said, no, just kidding. There they are. 4. And I opened up my pants and said, there you are, you little rascals. And I waved at them. 5. None of them going beyond G-rated territory, but yet seen by the Parents Television Council as being references, lewd and dirty references to my genitalia. And I was the first guy that really looked at it and said, well, where's all this coming from? Well, it's coming from one report from Indiana University. And so I called the guy thinking I'm just going to get his voice message. I can at least say that I tried. And he talked to me, Dr. Gans, I think his name was. He talked to me about an hour. I took all these notes and I asked, has anyone else called you? He said, no, they just accepted it on its face. And so I said, the references to the genitalia, for example, I said, so they did this thing called a crotch chop,
Yes.
And, now you could argue it shouldn't have been there. I had this one memorable occasion at Disneyland, like in 2000, where my wife goes, I think Pooh Bear is trying to communicate with you. Pooh Bear is a non-speaking Disney character, not a face character like Cinderella, Snow White who can talk. And then
I have one I'm holding up to the camera. I have a 1.5-year-old. Thus, here is Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear is a very influential character in our family. Yes. Now please tell me the terrible thing about Pooh Bear, Mick.
He did the crotch chop to me. He went, boom, chopped his crotch like that. And so I asked Dr. Gans, do you count it every time it's done? He said, if they do it, I count it. Well, there was a guy named X-Pac, who was a good friend, but he was real proud of his genitalia. He would come out and do 20 of them in a row. It's well, that's just 4 seconds worth of a guy going like this. And we're going to count those. And it was crazy, the stuff I found out. I was like, listen, I don't see any simulated sexual activity, but you came up with 272 counts. And he goes, well, that would be like a hand on a shoulder. I went, a hand on a shoulder? I said, that doesn't sound sexual. He said, it would be if it was done with, I don't know. He had some kind of a way of it. So also, I said, I don't see any drug use on our show. He said, we saw simulated drug use. And he goes, that would be beer drinking. And I was like, Dr. Gans, come on. So I did a study where I watched a week's worth of Cheers and a week's worth of General Hospital. And obviously, there's far more beer drinking or drug use, as he would say. And so, and I was far more shoulder touching in a suggestive manner than you would see on our show. And I just thought, well, this is,
so this is all pre-Trump, right? This is all pre-Trump. Now our norms and mores are out the window. I'm glad you brought up the beer drinking, because the irony of Trump's time in the WWE is that at one point he gets into it with Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? And Stone Cold, I think, does a stunner on him. But Stone Cold is the people's champion, right? Stone Cold represented the angry white man that kind of embodies now who seems to be Trump's base. So it was ironic. I even dressed up like Stone Cold one time for Halloween, sidebar, one of my many costumes that was very popular. But, and my son was Hulk Hogan, and my wife was Randy Savage, which was pretty amazing. Yeah, frills, the whole deal was amazing. But point is, it's kind of ironic now looking back on it. I watched the video that Trump basically gets annihilated by his base, right? It's like the real people's champion is the person who speaks out not against the man, but against Trump, who is the man, and he gets stunned by Stone Cold. So I wonder if that brings us to the fall, where maybe it all comes back around and America kind of does a Stone Cold stunner on him, because he's become the man now, right? The guy that he sought to oppose, he is that authority figure now, and it's come full circle.